It's moving to the cloud with the same functionality from the on-premise. In BPM, we moved more to business-oriented stuff, where the human is coming involved. And you have two types of business processes. One is an ERP, a transactional process, but one is becoming more a human process. I came to the conclusion ERP is obsolete last century, but I have to correct myself, it's still there.
So you've seen the ERP of the past, you've seen the ERP of the present, and you have a vision for the future. And this is something I am fascinated about, and I'd love to hear more about that and the conscious change that this opportunity creates all of us.
I was always thinking ERP is the word good, and I came to the conclusion the word is overvalued. It's ERP should more maybe known as entity resource planning instead of enterprise resource planning, because has never been, even today, have never been everything for the enterprise. It's not end-to-end enterprise. And even BPM was even not everything to the enterprise, it was still in silos. That means even today, we have still the silos, but the most complex silo is still the ERP silo. That's the reason it's not replaced. We have still SAP, we have still Oracle, we still HANA. And what we see, even ERP is going to the cloud, but it's not going now native to the cloud. It's going to the cloud, what's called the Conway law. It's moving to the cloud with the same functionality from the on-premise situation, maybe even less, because it's too complicated to build it today in microservices. Why is it too complicated? Not for technology, but the kids from Google do not understand ERP. And they have maybe the most interesting technology in the world today. It means you have to do it with all the people. Therefore, and I came to the conclusion ERP is obsolete last century, but I have to correct myself, it's still there. And I was able to respect ERP and bring ERP more and more in end-to-end business processes. And it means then we bring everything to a business, but the end is no longer the business. I bought a nice phone, it's a Google phone. Amazing to see this Apple phone. But now with Google, but what is the difference? With Google, you have 40 products, while some are used by billions of people. And more we see it's the front end. And the Google phone is good enough than the Apple phone, if you look to it. But what is now for the future? What means it? Enterprises are becoming obsolete. In this way, we have already seen with the browser of the internet. With the browser, when we see that the internet browser came therein, then the human became involved and social became involved. And the browser, even with Netscape those days, if you look at the browser was a window to the social world. Before we had only ASCII, and ERP was built to ASCII. Transactions, and you need a screen, and you need a complicated screen for the business in a silo. The browser came, and then in the last 25 years, we have a lot of innovation from, if you look to social, from anywhere, mobility, IoT, now we go even to chat, CTP, all the other elements, but it's not used in the business. ERP is still a transactional system. In BPM, we moved more to business-oriented stuff, where the human is coming involved, and you have two types of business processes. One is an ERP, a transactional process, but one is becoming more a human process. That was built those days with Lotus Notes and other elements, and bring them together. Now we see that I invested after Baan a lot in the REST API. Sorry, first in the SOAP API. And that was the beginning to do the API on social. But now we have the REST API. And the REST API is the core elements of the internet. And no one is using the benefit of the REST API. In the REST API, you have also the state machine, stateful object, stateless connection, all the stuff to make all those complex elements in a workflow and bring it further. Now, and what I see now in tomorrow's world, ERP should go to the human. ERP is now facilitating people for business in an enterprise, but not in the supply chain. Even today, supply chain does not exist because everyone on their own. In tomorrow's world, we'll see the core is a supply chain where we move everything together. That means ERP as a task in a silo. We try to bring it, but we could not do it in ERP. We try to bring it to end in a business, but we see many silos. Then we call it business processes. But now we go a step further, and one of the disruptive innovators, Clayton Christensen, the famous Clayton Christensen, the late Clayton Christensen, a very noble man, he came to the conclusion it's only the job to be done. And it's different than a business process. And it's more different than a silo. But we need everything together. These three layers should be integrated. Now, what we see now is microservices are representing the job to be done in the task.
Mm.
And in this task, everything is now included for all my social elements, IoT, AI, all those elements. And it could be on the latest moment on the job to be done. Now, that's what we're doing now. On the same moment, I can adapt even some components of ERP is good enough. They have not to rebuild everything here. Over time, they can be rebuilt as microservices, but maybe it takes another 10 years. Therefore, you should decouple. Yeah.
In this is interesting, right? So Jan, you bring a big point, and especially in the modern ERP conversations, we forget something very important: the human and the job to be done. And the whole purpose of the ERP and the way it was created was to serve that human and satisfy the job to be done in a way that is adding to the bottom line. So
yeah, but what is the problem? ERP is not bringing so much money to the bottom line. I will come to it because let me give you an example. A mid-sized company, $100 million revenue, where you can say, oh, they can do everything in ERP. A company with 100,000 employees, they cannot have one ERP system, even not today. But no. And then maybe, and this company with $100,000 revenue, maybe very innovative, $10 million EBITDA, net profit, means $90 million operating costs. The IT part is only 1 or 2% in that company. It's very little. And to change it is maybe 2K anywhere a little. Now, this $90 million operating costs are human related. Maybe 50% are human related. Now, suppose that we take 50% of this $100 million revenue as human related costs. Peter Drucker, years ago, 20, 30 years ago, mentioned already, if we have this type of technology, he was not even aware, the human can do a twice better job. That means we can have then, instead of 50 million operating costs, we can do it with 25 million operating costs. And 25 million can go to the EBITDA more, instead of only this 1% of ERP. That means in tomorrow's world, the productivity of the human will increase tremendous. And in ERP world, it's not increasing. Why is it too complicated? And ERP cannot communicate with a job to be done like a truck driver or anywhere. Now, what we see now in the social world, we take the complexity of ERP, we adopt this one, and then we make services, everything a service, where the knowledge worker can do it twice better. And ERP is stopping because ERP is consuming too much from the knowledge worker instead of facilitating. Now, and therefore, what we can say then, let's first decouple it. Always is important to decouple something. If you can decouple the engine from the chassis from the car and all those other elements. Now, let's decouple ERP for a while. And then even on top, we bring more silos together. And then we adopt them all in microservices. And there you do the last mile. And the microservice, you do the last mile. And they're all AI driven. They are driven with all this no longer PaaS, because platform as a service is also becoming obsolete. Because in platform as a service, everyone has to build their own middleware. ERP middleware stinks. In ERP is old-fashioned middleware, XML a little. Now, platform as a service is native internet middleware, but now we go to infrastructure as a service. we see the big giants, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. They have by far more an infrastructure, by far more stronger than Salesforce.
Yeah.
Or other ones.
Anyone. Yeah.
Now, why should you do then your Salesforce middleware if you can take Google's middleware? That means microservices should be adopted. I prefer Google the most, but could be, you can say, okay, you can take Microsoft, you can take Amazon, but Google have tens of users, billions of users already united together in this stuff. Take the infrastructure as a service from a giant, do it agnostic, take care that you never should be locked in. That's also another, we are now all locked in ERP. And they squeeze us. They squeeze more, we cannot escape. Mistake in the technology on the future should never be locked in. Not locked in, should be agnostic for the big players that you can one take Amazon, can take Google, but we cannot compete our own. You should adopt this one now. That means you have to understand the architectural elements of IT. And I've been an old man, I'm 78, and my gray hair, but I've been 45 years already involved with all this technology, but my life was even longer. Now, I believe that, I hope that I have a little the wisdom to understand this stuff and deal with these dangerous components, because you cannot trust them. They all like to bound you in. That means all this, and instead of having now maybe 5 companies who have thousands of billions of market cap, it could be better to have thousands of unicorns. Now, I hope that in the future should be more managed by many smaller entities who can compete together, who are not locked in, and that is what the new technology can bring us.
And that's a point that you're bringing to the table, right? So why do we want to give up our rights, that is, our individual or collective rights to someone else who doesn't know our business really well? And this is a point for businesses to think about. How do we ensure our freedom, our integrity, and our way of moving forward? So it could be in the form of multiple relationships, one relationship, or whatever you choose to do.
But
so
even Judith with AI. I like AI because I'm now using with Gemini and make my autobiography, optimize it. It's a tremendous improvement if you do it yourself, but you should be the owner. AI is extremely dangerous when the sensor is doing it. Yes, is it the sensor or common sense? Is it sensor or common sense? It should be common sense. AI, on the end, should only facilitate the job to be done. And AI should always be imparted by the human. That the human should understand the sensitivity of AI. Now, and that is what we do, and that's what we do in these microservices. And you can do it, the job to be done allows you to adopt and brings more intuitive to yourself. That means we moved from all the years when I built ERP, it was data. 100,000 database tables even today is data. It's no information, it's data. When I moved to Chorus, my second company, we moved to metadata and we brought information of the enterprise end to end. But we had nothing outside the enterprise. And then we moved later on with Kubernetes and all this stuff, with IoT, we moved to knowledge. That means when data becomes information, becomes knowledge, but then we should bring the knowledge to wisdom, that's me. And even all these algorithms with all this knowledge should always be adopted by a human who understands the consequence of it. And it gives the humans in different ways much more flexibility. We all are different. Why should we be all the same? We never should be, we are all different. That's what God created the world. There's no tree with 2 loaves the same. And he will like to do everything same as standard. That's a dangerous element of technology.
And this is again, you're pointing out really beautiful, right? So don't work against the nature. We are all created to be different.
Yeah.
And we are all our own unique identity, and celebrate who we are. And do not give up this beautiful birthright or
Yeah.
a beautiful right to be controlled by something or someone else. So, and that's the nature of it. So, and have the freedom, and with all these things available, everyone has the freedom to decide how they want to
And
transform themselves.
yeah, why should we give why should we give up God? And was in India again, we know we have different way of thinking, but even you can communicate. I burned the lamp, we opened our new office, and in the lamp you have 5 elements therein. And I mentioned to everything, they asked me to do a prayer from the government. We have different elements, if it's Hindu, Muslims, and different elements. But I say, okay, if you allow me to do a prayer, let me do it in my way of thinking. But then we have one element who's connecting us, that's the ethics. We always believe in ethics. Now, if you give everything up, if you give God up, you become God yourself. And
Yeah.
it's, in my
And what do you
opinion,
stand on?
it's dangerous. And what we see in this world, I'm afraid of this world, everyone like to be their own God. And it's tremendous. We are no longer humble in God.
Yeah.
We like to be
And
God. And you see then, and then we like to live forever. We have the idea, so stupid, we like to have the idea that again, we can live another 2000 years because we can manipulate something. No, we are simple. H2O, with what we are in the end, is simple. We are simple humans. But God created us with brains. Let's use the brains, let's use the responsibility, and let's use to serve each other and to love each other.
this is the words of wisdom, right? So we have the unique gift,
Yeah.
and let's use that gift to serve. And this is the overall butterfly effect that we all can create in the world by choosing to be conscious, choosing to transform, and choosing what is right with the conscious choice. And with that, the power is plentiful.
And Judith, the butterfly have to fly, cannot rest. That means they cannot celebrate. It's going forever. So long you're there, you have to fly. That means there's no time. In my time, I had maybe some high points, some deep points. I I never enjoyed, never, I should say, it's hard to enjoy, to celebrate the high points. When I did a Boeing deal, I like a good glass of wine, but when I had a Boeing deal, I say, hey, let's not drink there so much because tomorrow I have to stay up earlier. I have to serve. On the highest point in my business, I could not celebrate. You have to serve. On the deepest point in my life, I learned lessons. Was maybe even more useful to do it. The most dangerous part is that we like to celebrate. And we like to celebrate our own or so. I mean, it's always good that you know that you have to fly it. You have to work. There's no end of your duty. So long you're here, you have to bring some things.
And that is great. So to the rest of the world who are embarking on a transformation, what would be your words of wisdom, especially to the leaders who would do it once in a lifetime?
Now, I should say to the leaders, take care. It's not you, it's the circumstances who make you. Be humble for yourself. Realize how simple you are. And we know as leaders we are so uncertain. That's maybe the reason we take more time. And we are hiding on our certainty, and we have so much authorization and all the stuff, which is extremely dangerous. If you are a leader, you should be a servant leader. And a servant leader means if making money is a pleasure, having money is a problem. If you are not too rich and you're old and you're dying or anywhere and your family is maybe simple and you have a lot of money, you have a lot of headaches, how to arrange everything and what to do all this stuff. That means if you eat so much, it's not a blessing. Some in the Bible ask me, Lord, give me not too much money, but give me even if you give me a little, give me my territorium, but even takes care, protect me. Making money is a pleasure, having money is a problem. And if you look to everything and if we see money as our own and see value as our own, we are the most poorest person on earth. And link a little. If we have some things, how can we then collaborate and work with others and use our benefit and use our blessings and share it also with others?
And that is fantastic. So With that, we will conclude this episode with these words of wisdom. And remember, we are playing our part to make this world better. And Jan and I are available, so you can find us in LinkedIn and many other platforms. We look forward to hearing your feedback.
Jurek, thanks for your initiative. It was great. Thank you very much.